Well, here in Germany, Chancellor Olaf Scholz has clashed with the leader of the opposition CDU over weapons deliveries to Israel. Scholz and Friedrich Merz were taking part in a debate in parliament about the war in Gaza. Scholz dismissed a claim by Merz that the government was refusing to allow shipments of ammunition to Israel. And the Chancellor insisted Germany was standing by its ally.
We have not decided not to send weapons. We have sent weapons and we will send weapons. That is the government's position. I won't violate the secrecy clause of the Federal Security Council, but we, the government, have taken decisions that ensure that there will be further weapons delivery soon. And then you'll see that this is a false accusation.
Well, in fact, Germany has long been Israel's second biggest foreign supplier of weapons. Data compiled by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute shows that Germany delivered 30% of Israel's major weapons imports. From 2019 to 2023, Germany was second only to the United States in these deliveries, with third-placed Italy providing less than 1%. And DW Political Correspondent Simon Young joins me now. Simon, we have not decided not to send weapons. Why so convoluted? Why not just say, sure, there'll be more weapons?
Yeah, Nicole, as you heard, Olaf Scholz went on to say we have delivered weapons and we will deliver weapons, but he didn't say what and when and how much. So I think he was trying to be as clear as he could within the secrecy rules that are around this. There's always some ambiguity when it comes to weapons exports for the reason that the firms who make this stuff need to be protected. There's also a delicate balance within Olaf Scholz's cabinet on this issue. But on the general principle, the German government has always said that it stands with Israel, but decisions on weapons exports are taken on a case-by-case basis.
So a lot of secrecy, but you have an ear to the ground there in Berlin. Do you know what kind of equipment he could be talking about when he talks about new weapons that could come soon?
Yeah, well, lately, the kind of thing that Germany has sent have not been the lethal kind of weapons, the so-called war weapons. In fact, no weapons of that kind have been sent to Israel since March of this year. What has been sent in the past have been things like anti-tank weapons, munitions of various kinds, military use vehicles, and Israel has even ordered submarines from Germany. So there's a lot of that sort of stuff, but mostly what Germany's been sending lately is things with a clear sort of non-belligerent use, things like helmets, vests, bulletproof vests, communications equipment, and that kind of thing.
You talk about lately, and if we're talking about the last year as lately, the volume of sales to Israel has also fallen dramatically. Do we know why?
The short answer to that is no, we don't know why. If we go back to 2022, the German government granted export licenses for military items worth around 30 million euros for Israel. In 2023, it went up tenfold to 326 million, and most of that was in the aftermath of the 7th of October attacks. This year so far, they've only approved just over 14 million euros worth. So it may be that this is back down to a level that the government thinks is more sustainable. But I think also, it is worth saying that there are those within the government who've been fairly open in their criticism of some of Israel's military actions in Gaza, and the idea, therefore, that the government is not enthusiastic about weapons exports to Israel. That's at least plausible. Let's put it like that.
Do you think a couple of international legal challenges that we've seen this year to Germany's sale of weapons to Israel could have anything to do with that?
That is possible. Nicaragua has brought a case against Germany at the International Court of Justice, arguing that it breached the UN Convention on Genocide by sending military hardware to Israel. But the German government has always rejected that claim, saying that, in fact, Germany sees, an especial responsibility to uphold precisely the Convention Against Genocide because of the responsibility that it has flowing from the Holocaust. There's also a challenge here in Berlin from a human rights organisation. And so there have been reports that these legal challenges have caused a sort of a slowdown or even a complete stop at the economy ministry, which has to process these export licences. And it's also worth saying that Robert Habeck, the economy minister, has been very open that he says, well, when it comes to equipment that could be used on the ground for military operations in Gaza, we have to look very, very closely because there's a possibility that Israel might breach international conventions.
Let's zoom out a bit. How does Germany's stance on weapon sales to Israel compare to that of other European countries?
Yeah, well, the thing that really stands out here is that Olaf Scholz's commitment in the Bundestag today that Israel will continue to receive weapons from Germany. That puts him out of step with the French president Emmanuel Macron, who said just last week he was proposing a stop for weapons exports that could be used in Gaza. So what you're seeing there is two of the sort of central tenets of German politics, namely support for Israel and at the same time a wish to sort of keep France and Germany together politically. Those two things are clashing over this issue.
How controversial is all of this domestically among the German public?
I think there is a lot of controversy around it. A recent poll suggested that about 2/3 of Germans think that it's not right in the context of the current conflict for Germany to be supporting Israel militarily. Only about 20% are in favour. And I think that does reflect a wider mood in the public, but also among politicians, a sense of concern that Israel's actions could provoke a wider conflict in the Middle East. And I think nobody wants that.
Simon Young, many thanks.